Stadium Journey podcast. Thanks for joining us tonight. Our website, stadiumjourney.com, is the world leader in sports travel information with reviews of over 2,500 stadiums from all around the world. And we are more than just an awesome website. You can connect with us on our social media channels. We're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, a few other places too. Find us at Stadium Journey. And you can find audio versions of this awesome Stadium Journey podcast simply by picking up your phone and searching HIAC Talk Radio Network wherever you look for your favorite podcast. Video simulcast of our podcast can be found on Stadium Journey's YouTube page, and our classic back catalog of episodes can still be found at vocnation.com. And for those of you who want to be part of the action, we record live every other Tuesday night at 7 Eastern at danlaw.tv. The gang is all here tonight. Dave Cotney's here. Follow him online at ProFan9. Mark Viquez is here too. Follow him at Ballpark Hunter. The other guy, Dan Calachico's here. Follow him at DanLaw83. And I am Paul Baker. You can follow me at PuckmanRI. So for tonight's show, we've had to call a last-second audible. Omaha. It's been a couple of months since we put the journey in Stadium Journey. So we're going to take a look back at the last couple of months. Now that the borders have relaxed, Dave's gotten to leave his hometown a little bit. And the same goes for the rest of us, too. We've been able to hit the road pretty consistently. We're going to talk about where we've been since March. So we're going to talk March, we're going to talk April, we're going to talk May. Pretty full episode, if you ask me. So, guys, how's it going? Where have you been? Who wants to go first? Dave, you are the big trip winner, but I don't think we're going to start out at the big trip, right?
I could start wherever you like.
And balloons. Big trip winner.
I could start wherever you like. I mean, I have a couple big trips, so.
Start at the beginning.
Start at the beginning. Okay, so we'll start with my Canada big trip. How's that? So, can we do like the Wayne's World Scooby-Doo? So last time I was here.
Actually, last time we were doing on the road episode, you were on the road.
I was on the road. Yeah, I was at the right beginning of my March break trip. I was at the Peterborough Memorial Center, home of the Peterborough Petes. So that was fun, and it was great. It was our first March break since 2019, because COVID in 2020 actually killed like what was going to be an amazing March break trip. So we had everything set up, tickets, airline, hotel. It was all set, ready to go. Colorado Avalanche, Denver Nuggets, Colorado Rapids, Colorado Mammoth. It was going to be epic. But
it was going to be mammoth.
It was going to be mammoth and epic and avalanche-y. But no, it of course didn't happen. And then nothing. There was no 2021 March break, so 2022 March break. And the borders were a little, I don't really know what's going on. So we did it. We did cross a border. We crossed the provincial border, so we actually went into Quebec. So went Peterborough and then went to what's it called now? TD, the arena at TD Place, for the Ottawa 67s. That's kind of a neat place because the arena is actually under the grandstand of the football stadium where the Ottawa Red Blacks play. So that's kind of cool. It's one of those still a unique venue in the OHL as they seem to become more generic. Went to Ottawa after that. Well, actually, kind of just barely in Ottawa because the Ottawa Senators just barely play in Ottawa. They play in the former town of Canada. Yeah,
which is Canada.
Well, no, it's
Canada.
It was. But a number of years ago, there were all of these mega city mergers, of which Ottawa was one. So technically, Canada is now part of Ottawa. But if you are driving from the Parliament buildings, then you're looking at a good 20
that's
plus
a distance.
Minutes. Yeah. It's It's it would probably be equivalent to like looking at like Phoenix and Glendale ish, right?
Yeah.
Except you're dealing really with the city. Well, you don't even have to deal with the city of Ottawa because the Senators own the building and own the land and whatnot. So, but yeah, it's a little depressing. The Sens are down at the moment. So the crowd wasn't great. They were just in flux there with the ownership. Eugene Melnick just died. And since then, there's been like a whole lot of press about, what kind of a person he was. And the team is in flux. So it was interesting. But then after that, it was really to, one of the true hockey meccas. It was the Bell Center in Montreal. I did get to stop in and chat with our friend Tim Capper, who forgot about us tonight and is enjoying the Ottawa Titans home opener instead of being on here with us. But yeah, even when the Canadiens are down, it's such an iconic place. Like the fan base is just so loud. There was a whole lot of like, who the heck are these guys? So, can you imagine, like, you got all of those banners under there, or up there, you got Jacques Plante and Henri Richard and Maurice Richard and Boom Boom Geoffrion and Howie Moretz and Ken Dryden and Patrick Roy. And then on the ice, you've got like, I can't even name who was on the ice anymore. That's how far this Canadiens team has fallen. I'm sure they're excited now because they're going to get Shane Wright, who's going to be the first overall pick. He was in Kingston all year. But yeah, it's such an iconic place. You could just take pictures forever. Like the Hall of Fame is just massive. The Canadiens Hall of Fame kind of thing. And I did a lot of research on the Canadiens history going in, and a lot of the people that we don't even talk about with the Canadiens, like the ownership groups were just as iconic, right? Like they were owned by the Molson family forever, not quite forever, I guess. And went through that whole phase of, were they going to move to Cleveland? I know that's Paul, your favorite story. Were they going to move to Cleveland or were they going to stay? And then, how they outlasted the Montreal Maroons, which were essentially the English team. And funny enough, their nickname, the Habitants, it's a slang term. It was originally a dig, right? It was supposed to be an insult, and they just absorbed it, and that's what they go by, kind of thing. And of course, the big misnomer, the CH stands for, the C stands for club and the H stands for hockey. It doesn't stand for Canadiens and it doesn't stand for Habitants. So, yeah, funny enough. And then we went to a new building, like my first real new building in years. And I think they were worried about Paul getting there, so they shut down his AHL All-Star game a couple times.
Twice.
So it was Place Bell in Laval, which is, I don't know, it's interesting. It's a very different production. If you think about Montreal as one of the most traditional hockey markets, kind of like I would think of Boston as a traditional basketball market, and they just fought everything, right? Like they were the last to get cheerleaders, and they don't play music during the game and all those kinds of things. You think Montreal would be the same sort of thing, and Laval is just a suburb of Montreal, but the presentation at Laval is just so different than at the Canadiens. So Laval, it was almost like a nightclub. Like that's the kind of vibe they were going for. Lasers, the music was like that. And something I didn't understand, it was hard for me to get my head around, being a sports fan for so many years, and not being a huge drinker. Like, I don't often drink beer at the game, but there's a billion other people who drink beer at the game. In Quebec, man, there were more people drinking those like seltzers and gin coolers and like those kinds of things. It was really kind of surprising. The building is okay. I mean, it's an AHL building. I mean, it's attractive from the outside. It's kind of dark on the inside. I think I sent you a picture, Paul. Like, there were no lights above the ice. They were all around the edge, and amazing what they can do with lights now, as opposed to like the old fluorescents, right? Like these LEDs, they just go off and on and whenever, and just at the turn of a switch. It's not like it takes time to warm up. I don't know if you guys remember when we were in Columbia and at the Fireflies game and the lights went out, and we were on the tour. I think, Paul, you were in my group on the tour, and the guy was like, "Okay, just wait a second," and he was having a minor freak out because it takes so long for the lights to warm up. But yeah, these ones not so much. Then the last part was to another new building in this one was in Gatineau, so for junior hockey, and the one of the most interesting names, the Centre Slush Puppy. So my son had to have a slush puppy at Centre Slush Puppy, home of the Gatineau Olympique. Very sleek looking building, very, very dark. The team colors are black and silver. And it was kind of a historic game because playing for the Olympique was Eve Gascon, and she made her debut, first female player in something like 2 decades to play in the QMJHL. And the crowd was really behind her. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for her. The Olympique lost 5-4 in overtime. But yeah, I gotta say, it was great to get out on the road again and just experience that sort of road trip feeling, and head somewhere that's different and see some new places. That I had almost forgotten that that feeling you get, the little goosebumpy feeling you get when you walk into a new place for the first time. So that was my big March trip.
Nice. How about you, Mark? What have you been up to?
Well, I took a trip to Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, a few weeks ago. March 30th, I think, or 29th was the date. And I went to 3 venues. 2 of them I had not been to before. One was relatively not even a year old. I went to check out Ohio State baseball at Bill Davis Stadium.
OH.
Nice. Yeah. OHIO. IO. Oh, definitely not a Buckeye. But anyway, when I was there, I was wearing red, so I didn't want Brutus to come after me like Purdue Pete did at the Purdue game a few weeks prior to that. But anyway, if you ever been to Ohio State baseball stadium, it's a beautiful facility. I think it was built in 1996, 97. And for the time was very, very modern, large, just fancy. And I didn't realize that Ohio State ever really had a nice ball field up until then. And they had a great program. They've had some guys make it to the majors. And they finally built this beautiful stadium through donations and funds. And it's a nice place. I mean, for the Big Ten, it's probably the nicest ballpark in the conference. And I have not been to all of them, but based on pictures and things I've seen, it's a hell of a lot better than what the heck Rutgers is playing out of. And it's much nicer than what Purdue and IU were playing out of a few years ago prior to their new stadiums. But it's a beautiful ballpark. It's just that it's a little bit too big. It's 4,000 seats. I don't think they get anywhere near that type of crowds. Not even if Michigan's in town. Maybe that's an exception. But, it's just such a big stadium. You're just a little bit frazzled by like, wow, this is huge.
Is it sorry, just looking at your pictures here, is it turf all the way through? No infield dirt?
It's a synthetic field.
So no infield dirt. It's just different colored turf.
Well, let me see here.
That's what most of the college places are like up
What's
in this part of the country.
what's that like? Does it change the way the game is
Let me
looks
see
at
here.
all?
That's a good question.
Well-
I am so used. No, that's synthetic dirt, I believe. Yeah.
I can tell you from playing lacrosse on turf, the first bounce is regular, but for some reason the second bounce speeds up. So I
Yeah.
would imagine the same thing happens on a ground ball.
I can tell you, it looks like the pitching mound is actual dirt.
In those fields usually the
Yeah.
mound is made of dirt because they don't
Yeah.
want to mess up the pitcher's routine.
Yeah,
and feel and everything.
that's what it is. Based on my experience, I've played kickball on turf, and I played it on grass. If it's just like a baseball player would. Yeah, there are differences. It's as watching it, I'm getting used to seeing these type of fields. It's not as if, oh my God, what the heck are they playing at? Because
you have to in the north. You have to have it that way.
But it makes sense because I went to another venue, Taylor University, which has a synthetic infield and a grass outfield, and they said ever since they installed that a few years ago, they're average. They're not losing those 8 to 10 games a year like they were in the past. So if you play in the Midwest and the Northeast, and up in Michigan and whatnot, and Wisconsin, those fields are needed, and they're not AstroTurf like what we had when we were a kid, which was a carpet. You could wear spikes, you could wear cleats. They're a little bit nicer, but yeah, they definitely stand out. And maybe there are positives and negatives, but from the standpoint of hosting games, you kind of want those there. And the day I went, it did rain a little bit in the afternoon, not as much to cancel it, but definitely something you have to have. And like I said, it's a beautiful stadium. It's just a little too big. Brutus was there entertaining people. I like that. It's
Nice.
He kept hitting his head. I have a video on YouTube on my ballpark hunter, and you just can't miss him. It wasn't a big crowd. It was a decent crowd. He was just all over the place. So after that, I went to Huntington Park, which is home of the Columbus Clippers. I had not been here and my goodness, in about 13 years. And I couldn't believe how long that was. I was like, man, it's like I've been through Columbus from time to time, but just never to see a Clippers game. And this is a gorgeous ballpark. I've been on here and talked about St. Paul and Durham, but I think Columbus throws its hat into the ring. There's a lot to like here. And we talked a lot about that last time with the concession stands being open and facing the crowd. We talked about how you can't walk around the stadium. You have to go out onto Nationwide Boulevard, but there you can peek in through some windows. So if you don't want to buy a ticket, you can watch the game for free. They have some nice old time photos and writings on the brick wall. It's just they have rooftop seating. They have a building in left field that has 3 purposes: seating and concession stand and merchandise. It's just a fun little ballpark, and I would have to rank it up there among the best in AAA baseball. Now, I have not been to all of them, but I was in love with the place. Have any of you guys been there recently?
Not recently.
Well, I was there on Sunday.
You saw it. Well,
I stood outside of it on Sunday, but we're planning on going in August, so I'm looking forward to heading there.
Yeah, let me know how you like it when you're out there, because I was like, wow, this is like, I was just like shocked how long it's been. You get a little bit older and you're like, oh yeah, I've been in that stadium, and then it's like, okay, how many years ago? And the place has changed a little bit. Not a lot. I mean, there's still a lot of things I remember, but it's a nice little neighborhood. $4 parking, cheap tickets, $6 to $8 to get in. I mean, that's insane for AAA baseball, because prices are going up all across the board. But the one stadium I really wanted to see was a brand new stadium built last year, home of the Columbus Crew, Lower.com Field. This is this is the newest, or one of the newest venues in, no, I guess Nashville is new. One of the new venues of MLS, and I know Dave went to Cincinnati. He'll talk about that a little bit later. But this is like the future of the league, like these soccer-specific stadiums that hold about 20,000 to 30,000 folks. magnificent facilities, everything you need. And if you don't like soccer, then that's your fault. Because I mean, there's a lot to like about this new stadium. Local food, great seating, covered grandstand, the roof over the canopy over the stands. Take the noise and bring it back onto the pitch. There's a beer garden that is right underneath the Nordeck, which is the supporter group. I think it's the largest or one of the largest in the league. And it's hard to walk around and not fall in love with the atmosphere there. It was amazing. They have a little outside patio, and there's like a restaurant bar that is alive and kicking well before kickoff. I was just really impressed with what I saw there, because I had gone to Cincinnati last year, and I actually kind of like this one a little bit better. But they're both magnificent places to watch soccer. And to think that Columbus, and we talked about that a few years ago, almost lost their team, and here they got this beautiful arena. They're building up the area next to it with I guess a Riverside Park and residential units. It's one of those areas that's being renovated as we speak. It's only going to be nicer there in the future. So Columbus has some great facilities, and I'd even go to Nationwide Arena, which is among one of the favorite hockey stadiums and hockey arenas in the North America. So yeah, 3 different venues in one day, made for a very long day for me, because that's about a 2 hours and 40-minute drive for me. So
can you imagine hitting up Columbus for Hell is Real? That would be pretty amazing.
No, you're absolutely right. Goodness. It's Columbus is a fun town, and there's a lot of great sporting events going up there. So
for those not in the know, Hell is Real is the local rivalry game between the Columbus Crew and FC Cincinnati, and it's based on a sign. There's a like a billboard sign on the highway that basically says "Hell is real." One of these kind of farmland kind of signs, and that's what they build the derby as Hell is Real. And I know what it was like in Cincinnati. I've been to Columbus, not when it's not the new Columbus, but did go to the historic one, and it was kind of down at the time. But yeah, a rivalry game like that, it would just be
a derby, right? Is
off
that
the hinges.
do they call them derbies here?
I don't know. They spell them derbies, so
derbies, yeah, they're pronounced derbies, but yeah, derbies. No, that would be nice, because I remember when Cincinnati would play Louisville when both were in the USL. That was insane, because I mean Cincinnati would pack a lot of people into their stadium, and vice versa. And you just got these beautiful soccer stadiums popping up. I mean, I'm trying to get out to Louisville in a few weeks. They have a second division team, and they have a nice stadium. So I know Dave and I growing up, we used to watch soccer, and I guess I would assume you were a Toronto Blizzard fan, and they would play out.
Oh gosh, no, I'm so late to the soccer party.
So late.
Yeah,
goodness.
No, I was not interested.
No.
Actually, the first time I went to TFC, I was like, yeah, this sucks.
Really? Wow.
I'm not sure. You know what? I'm not sure if it weren't for Stadium Journey, I'm not sure I would be interested in soccer at all. So
wow. Well, it's because of these fancy new stadiums are opening up.
Yeah, it definitely helps.
They're magnificent. And Lloyd Brown went down to Nashville recently. I'd love to hear what he had to say about that. Looking forward to that review. So, there's beautiful facilities. I'm going to be in Austin, June 10th to the 17th. Unfortunately, the Austin FC are not going to be in town. So,
oh no,
another beautiful stadium. So, I mean, everywhere you go, you got these awesome MLS stadiums, and
unless you're going to New England.
Yes, you stole my segue, Dave.
Yes. So, on that note, Paul Baker, El Presidente, take it away.
Not everywhere has beautiful soccer stadiums. Let me tell you. I went to a game at Gillette Stadium, New England Revolution game. Now, the Revolution are pretty good right now. They won the Supporter Shield last year, which signifies the best record in the MLS. They've got a solid team this year, off to a little bit of a slow start, but I hadn't been to Gillette for soccer. I looked it up in, I think it had been 5 years. So, and I hadn't been there for football in that time either. So, the big news in Gillette is that they are totally redoing the north end of the stadium. The whole entry plaza where you see the bridge and the lighthouse and the big scoreboard, that's all gone. So walking into the stadium was a shocker because I actually worked there for 7 years, so I'm very familiar with Gillette Stadium. But you walk in now and you turn and you look the whole end of the stadium. There's nothing there. So it hasn't really affected the game day experience. They've got the construction is basically on the outside of the stadium itself. So they've got those concession stands and that part of the concourse blocked off. You can still get by, but it's a smaller passageway. And the entry plaza down on ground level is being redone. So that will all be new. Actually, the cool thing about that is the new lighthouse they're putting in is a lot bigger, and you're actually going to be able to go up in it. And from the top of the tower, you can actually see Boston from Foxborough. So that's going to be pretty cool. And you can have events up there and stuff. So that's all going to be pretty cool when it's done.
And what kind of ticket price is that going to be? Like,
I can't even imagine.
2 mortgage payments and a herd of cattle, or?
Absolutely can't even imagine. So let's see. What do I have to say about Gillette Stadium? I mean, it's not. We're talking about Columbus and Nashville, and we're going to be visiting Minneapolis, or actually, it's in St. Paul, so it's Minnesota, whichever way you look at it. Later this summer at the Stadium Journey get together. All those soccer specific, really nice things. And then you got Gillette Stadium, which is a big old football stadium that they cut off the upper. Well, they don't cut off the upper deck, but you can't access the upper deck. Fill up the lower deck, and that's good enough for us. It was full. It was a good crowd. Lots of kids run around. It was a really chilly night, so that didn't seem to put a damper on anything. It was a good game.
You know what? Like, it could be, and I think I kind of poked a little fun at you when you said it was full, right? Like, the bottom was fullish, but the top is empty, right?
Yeah, the top is empty.
But you've got, it's still, and I've been to some of these really great places. Still, my favorite is Seattle.
But Seattle fills the whole stadium, don't they?
Seattle brings the noise, right? Like, they bring the crowd out. And when I went there, they were not what they are now, right? Like, they're kind of the almost dynastic member of Major League Soccer, right? Like, they just won the CONCACAF Champions League, which no MLS team has ever done. They've won the MLS Cup a number of times, but they really blow the roof off that place. Atlanta was setting records.
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte just broke all those records with their debut. Like,
so
you could
why,
do it. You could do it in a football stadium.
Why can't we do it in Boston then?
Well, that was one time that I don't think Charlotte's averaging those crowds. It was the first game.
No, I think you're right.
Yeah, but in Atlanta, was getting about 57,000 for an average, which is sick to think about it. And then if you look at Portland, probably my favorite place I've saw a game. They kicked out the baseball team. They said, "Guys, get out of here. We're making this a soccer facility. We don't, there's no stadium here. Not our problem. Tucson, have fun."
I think New England could get more than 20 grand if they open up the top, but I don't think they want.
Well, they're okay
with a mostly empty top. They want a full lower level and the atmosphere that comes with having that full, rather than spreading out the crowd in a 60,000 seat football stadium.
And that was the problem with NASL teams back in the day. You played in a football stadium with meager crowds. I don't know what the type of crowds the Revolution get, but they have a new logo, which is nice. And it would be nice if they have a new stadium, but I guess they like what they have, right?
No,
they don't. Okay.
They've been. If you're from the New England area, if you're from Boston, you know how difficult it is to get something built.
Kind of like in New York, yeah.
The Red Sox tried to get a new Fenway Park built a while back and couldn't make it happen. The Bruins, it took them at least 15 years to get a new garden. It takes a while, and Kraft has been saying all along he wants a downtown soccer stadium for the Revolution.
Oh, okay.
And they've had many proposals, many plans that have just all fallen through. So
put it on a barge,
floated out in the bay somewhere.
Boston Revolution.
Yeah.
I think the biggest drawback to having the team play at Foxborough, well, besides the half-empty stadium, is that there's no public transportation in Foxborough. It's a little town. It's a town of 19,000 people, so there's no public transportation. There's no way to get there if you're from Boston or if you're from Providence. It's actually right halfway in between the two cities.
Now,
But if
why
you're in one of
can't
the cities, you can't get there. So you got to drive there, or you're just not going.
why can't they change that?
What, public transportation?
Yeah, like
Why? So
they,
you could use it.
they get
10
public
times a year?
transit. They get public transit out for the Patriots, right?
They have one train.
Okay.
One train before the game, one train after the game.
Okay.
That's 70,000 people versus 20. That's
Well,
the economics of
fair
it.
enough. Fair enough. But you know what? I'll be honest. I would take a game at Gillette over a game at Yankee Stadium any day. That's a travesty. There is no way
Yeah.
that
Well, yeah, same
NYCFC should still be playing at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
gross to watch on television. Even
that's the catch-22. They play at a famous building. They get support. I think they get about 20-some thousand folks. But you're right. It's hard to build a stadium there. The field is not even regulation length,
Right.
and you're at a baseball stadium, and
So you're facing the wrong way and all kinds of bad stuff.
yeah, and it's difficult to build anything in New York City. I mean, heck, the Jets and Giants had to play in New Jersey.
Yeah. Well, if you think about the nice new stadium that the Red Bulls have, I mean, why can't New York FC do something like that? But anyway, going to Gillette for a game, it was fun. I am not a soccer person at all. I was bored out of my mind. Who did they play? They played Columbus. I've seen 4 soccer games in my lifetime at Gillette. 3 of them have been against Columbus.
Well, we'll see. We'll
Columbus
see
went
what
up
you have
early.
to say after we go to Minnesota.
New England came back, scored 2 quick ones in the second half, was breezing along, and then Columbus tied it in stoppage time. So we ended up in a draw.
There is something unsatisfying about walking out with a tie.
I don't care. A tie at the last second, sure, but I have no problem with a tie. Hockey should have ties and not shootouts.
Yeah.
Baseball should have ties instead of running on second base.
Yeah, no,
or home run derbies.
or 31 inning games. Like
Actually, you know what a tie should be worth? Nothing.
Correct.
You want to make the
Correct.
last few minutes amazing? A tie is worth 0. It's worth the same as a loss.
Correct.
You know what? I'm not opposed to that.
Nope. I agree with that.
So,
100%.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
Gillette Stadium.
I vote for you, Dave.
I would like to subscribe to your newsletter.
Awesome. I got the
I
vote.
would like to donate to your campaign.
All right.
All right. So that was my trip to Gillette. The parking was really weird because they take all the close slots. I'm thinking 20,000 people. Good. I won't have to walk a mile and a half from the parking lot to the stadium. No, all the season ticket holders get to park nice and close. Everybody else, all the riffraff, on the other side of Route 1. So I had to walk a mile and a half, and it was freezing cold. So that was
really. So you have to walk. Everybody who's not a season ticket holder walks that far, unless
the parking lots were fun. Kids,
that's insane.
Kids were playing soccer and stuff. It was fun, but yeah, it was too far to walk for me, especially because my back was hurting. But anyway,
most people, I don't want to walk a mile and a half.
Me neither.
On Route 1,
I don't want to walk a mile and a half.
I know. I know what Route 1 looks like in New Jersey. That's
it's pretty much the same in Foxborough.
Yeah. No, when we went to a Jet game there years ago against the Patriots. Yeah, we walked about a mile. So in the blistering cold. So yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah. So let's see. What else have I done? That's it. If we're talking about big places, I've also been to Fenway Park already this year, so that was nice. New stuff at Fenway Park. They have, believe it or not, they have. I know something's happening upstairs right above me here. I don't know. Think my kitchen is going to end up in my lap in a minute. They have added, believe it or not, another seating section to Fenway Park. It's out in the bleachers. It's called crap. I just wrote the review. I can't think what it's called. Anyway,
It's called crap. I just wrote the review. That's
yes.
a weird way to. That's a weird.
What a name! It's not catchy at all. But it's up
That's
at the
weird.
top of the bleacher. It's up at the top of the bleachers. It's got a bar. It's got new restrooms, new facilities. standing room. It's got the television studios there, so the pre and post game shows are out there, and it's got an event center, and it's got a brand new scoreboard that's twice as big as the one that was sitting there before. So it's a really neat vantage point from the ballpark. It's the event center is called Club 521 because it's 521 feet away from home plate. I don't know why I remembered that and not the name of the new area itself. But aside from that, Fenway Park is Fenway Park. If you've been there, you either love it or you're like Dave and you have no soul. So those were my big ticket items in the last couple of months, Gillette and Fenway. It doesn't get any bigger than that around here in this area.
They're all big ticket items.
Speaking of big tickets, I start my new announcing job in 2 days, so that'll be exciting.
That's what the Rocks.
The Brockton Rocks. Oh, check out the lineup for the Brockton Rocks, if I may go off on a tangent. All right, you're familiar with the name David Ortiz?
Yeah.
Yes.
Manny Ramirez?
Yes. They're playing?
Pedro Martinez?
Really? Pedro too?
Keith Falk? Gary Sheffield.
Are
Nice.
you serious?
Their sons are all playing on the Rocks this year.
I was gonna
It's
say,
old timers
what are you-
game.
Wow, their
old
sons
timers in
must
the
suck.
Summer College League.
I was about to
Oh,
say, what the
summer
hell is
college,
going
that's right.
on, and where do I sign up to watch?
Well, I'm just watching Bobby Witt Jr. So yeah, it's I'm getting old because guys I used to say guys my age. I think Ortiz is my age.
I have a funny feeling that Bobby Witt Jr. is on a little bit different plane than some of these other juniors.
Oh
who
no, he is.
who
I'm
are-
just
who are playing in summer college.
well, hopefully, yeah. Well, they're not. It's not independent ball. It could be worse.
My son was all over me because I was unaware that Bobby Witt Jr. was like the top prospect in the whole world. And,
Yeah.
Can you believe it, Bobby Witt Jr.? I'm like,
Call
What?
Yastrzemski's grandson.
oh, he's been around for a few years.
Yeah, no, I saw him in Hartford years ago. They started playing
Pretty
Carl
good player
Yastrzemski.
himself.
Carl Yastrzemski. I'm like, what the hell is that? I'm like, oh, that's got to be his grandkid. I figured.
When I was a kid and you'd go on the highway 24 north to get up to Boston from where I lived, the first billboard you would see would be for some kind of kielbasa, and it had an old timey 70s drawing of Carl Yastrzemski on it, and it just said Yaz and
Nice.
something kielbasa, and I was like, "That's I know I'm going to Fenway Park, oh boy."
Yeah.
Dave, you actually went since our last get together on another trip, right?
Yeah, so this is like
Double dipper.
this past weekend. So oh man, I don't know. I'm not sure what the best part was. It might have just been the last stop, which was in Erie, Pennsylvania, at Primanti Brothers.
I was gonna
Man,
say
it had
there's a
been
sentence.
so long.
There's a sentence that has never been uttered in the history of the world. The best place was Erie, Pennsylvania.
No, the best place was Primanti Brothers, although they didn't have any deep fried pickles. So, no, yeah, this weekend because we just coming off the Victoria Day weekend, long weekend. So Jackson and I hit the long weekend road trip. Haven't done that in like forever, and it was a couple of things that hadn't really seen before. So first we went all the way down to WKRP land. And took in FC Cincinnati. Stopped first, actually. So the stadium is in a district that I'd been in, and I didn't even know it. So it's in the OTR district, which is like over the Rhine, which is kind of, it's just like a little sub neighborhood kind of thing that is
Getting better.
Yeah, it's in relation to a different to some river or something like that. Anyway. I had been there before because Jackson and I ended up going to Taste of Belgium, which was the actual one that Guy Fieri was in for Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. When I discovered the restaurant, and my heritage is Belgian, and I knew I had to take my dad there, and then I had to, of course, build up something to do other than just go for lunch. So, Dad, we're going to lunch in Cincinnati today. Let's go. We're leaving at 6 a.m.
Effing not.
No, that was a good trip. We went to both Xavier and Cincinnati and saw basketball. So that was a good trip. No, but TQL Stadium in Cincinnati. One of the things that I like about the newer stadiums is many of them are more along the soccer arena kind of design. So I would say that Columbus is like that. Cincinnati is definitely like that. It's kind of like the 360 degrees enclosed. Keep the sound in, and I think the first one that I experienced in MLS would have been Red Bull Arena, which is based on this European arena model, and I think Red Bull Arena is based on a similar one in Austria or something like that, which is probably also named after Red Bull. TQL Stadium though gets a lot of props for its use of LED lights. So there's LED lighting on the outside, which doesn't make it look spectacular during the day, but at night when you're walking away, it looks pretty cool. We had to wait for this game because lightning was in the area, which is about the only thing that'll stop a soccer game. As my children and I discovered in New York, that sub-zero weather does not stop a soccer game, but it stops us from staying for the whole soccer game. That does. The TQL Stadium, one of the things that it has that I really liked is it's got the traditional European supporter section. So, and this makes perfect sense if you think about it. So in a supporter section, everybody's going to stand. Everybody's going to dance around, et cetera, et cetera. So why put seats there? So they call it the Bailey. That's the other thing, is that the supporter sections are getting names for the entire section, and then you have your various supporter groups in that section. So in Columbus, it's the Nordeck, and in Cincinnati, it's the Bailey, and they just have it's just standing room in there. They have like railings to lean on, and of course they're going the whole time. I did a quick panorama. If you look at it on my YouTube channel, you'll hear a little girl who was behind us who should have been in that section. She was FCC the whole game until they scored because she had cotton candy, so she stopped cheering. But yeah, a great
That was
venue.
a good try by the parents there. Have some food. Shut up.
Yeah, no doubt. I can't imagine that she slept after that though. The sight lines are fantastic. We were in the corner, and it felt like if you just reached over, your hand would be over the corner of the pitch. The sight lines were absolutely fantastic. So that place ranks super high. For me, it's probably the second best soccer stadium or soccer experience that I have, and I put Seattle at number one. But as far as a venue itself, outside of the experience, the venue is right up there. Absolutely great time. And then on the next day, we went and checked out something that just looked a little bit weird. So we went to Progressive Field, the home of the Cleveland Guardians. And it was, I get it, I'm not arguing. It was just a little strange to see Guardians above the video board, to hear Guardians throughout.
Isn't it in the same script, so they just had to change a couple letters?
Similar.
It is in kind of a script, I guess. It's hard to say because you got that, like the block G as opposed to the script I. I did see a dude like in the next section who had like the old school block letter Indians on his jersey with a 99 on the back. Yes, Wild Thing, Ricky Vaughn. That was probably the best jersey. Surprisingly, maybe surprisingly, maybe not. I don't know. Surprisingly, there was a ton of Indians gear everywhere. Not for sale, but like the locals haven't given up their stuff.
Yeah,
Oh, they're not going to. Yeah.
Chief Wahoo hats everywhere. And I wasn't sure, what do you do when you change your name in such a fashion? Do you go back and do you change like bronze statues or stuff like that? You kind of like erase the name a little bit or anything like that? Do you look at the bricks or any of those monuments? Should they be changed? None of that has changed. But yeah, it was just a little different. Let's go Guards. I'm like, hell, the Guards. My son really went to town on their new logo. They don't even have a logo. What the hell is that?
Well, I think
like,
most
what the
people
heck?
think that.
It's
yeah.
a
Did you
baseball.
explain?
It's a baseball with a Thor helmet. So I'm sure there's a reason why. I don't know.
There is. It's actually
It's
the
pretty.
top. What do you call it? Things like a bridge, not a gargoyle, but there's a bridge that goes across the river there, the Cuyahoga River, and that's on top. The Guardians are up there.
Yeah.
That's the winged, whatever you call it. The Thor album.
Guardians of the City. Is that what they're?
Yeah, the Guardians of the City, and so that they kind of just appropriated that for baseball.
Well,
so it actually makes sense for Cleveland.
And maybe that's what the wings represent.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure they don't have a giant G up there. Like I understand.
It could have been done better. Could have been.
Did you hear everything I just said?
Yeah, no, I understand
They
the concept,
appropriated it.
but the baseball and the G and the
It does
I don't
look a little like a kid drew it.
yeah. But outside of minor league baseball, how often are we like, wow, that's a really good rebrand? Right? How often are we doing that anymore? Right? I don't.
Milwaukee Brewers. That was a nice. Not they gave you something new, but they went back to the old look.
Yeah, that was a rerun.
Rerun, yeah.
Hey, and in Major League Soccer, and I think all the marketing people need to be fired in Major League Soccer because those rebrands have all kind of sucked. I don't know, maybe the Revs has been okay, but
I don't like the Revs. I like the old Revs, the flag.
I kind of like the flag.
I like the new Revs. Montreal,
like the badge. It's a badge now with an R, like a cursive R.
It's okay, I guess. It's not the worst of the bunch. But yeah, Montreal is
going back to something different.
Well,
did Chicago change and go back to?
Chicago did change,
not exactly, but they got away from that. I don't know, that Orange Mountain thing that was pretty terrible.
Battle of the Planets, Fiery Bird.
They didn't go back to. They should have just kept the one that really looked like the Fire Crest. That was, I like that one. So the speculation now is, what is Montreal going to do? Are they going to just come up with a whole new logo or crest that's going to kind of go back to the black and blue stripes and that kind of thing? Or, cross your fingers, are they just going to go back to being the Impact and not being the Club de Foot, which is what they are now? And
the Club de Foot.
Yeah, I know. It's just horrible. I don't mind the badge itself. Like, I don't know, the arrows and the M's that make a snowflake. That's okay. That's not bad. But leaving the Impact name behind, I thought was terrible.
Yeah, that pissed off a lot of people.
Yeah,
from the get go.
Yeah, and maybe this is the marketing thing. Is you feed your fans something crappy to make them cranky, and then you give them what they want after.
Because even the Portland Timber, I was told the Portland Timbers, when they introduced their logo, they had to tweak it a little bit based on some conversations I had, that it wasn't exactly the same of what they have now.
But you can sell 2 batches of merchandise.
Yeah, but, or here's the thing: Columbus Crew. I hate their new logo. I don't get that logo at all. It's a lazy looking design. The last logo was just such a perfect looking soccer crest that would fit in anywhere in the world.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
They got rid of it. I was hoping to find some of that stuff at the stadium or at a local Marshalls or TJ Maxx. I couldn't find it because that new logo is just head scratching. But
yeah, the only thing I get about it is I understand the shape is supposed to be like the flag of Ohio.
Yeah,
but I mean, they could have done that shape and added like some of the aspects that were in the badge, the checkerboard.
Yeah, and
Anyway,
that could have been an alternative logo, primary.
before we leave Progressive Field, I gotta say, Fathead Brewery. What the heck was it? Bumbleberry Honey Blueberry Ale was fantastic. Actual blueberries they put in the beer for you. That was really good.
You act like that's a big deal. That's
I've
the way you
never
get a
had
blue-
actual blueberries in a
That's the
beer
way you always
before.
get a blueberry beer, man, with blueberries in it.
Never. They don't give me blueberries in my blue-eyed blueberry blonde at Pearl Street Grill.
Well, it's
So-
because it's Buffalo.
That was very cool. And then my food of choice in Cincinnati, of course, we had to stop at the Skyline Chili stand. But in Cleveland, I had a barbecue mac and cheese cone. So it was like a waffle cone with mac and cheese, pulled pork, coleslaw, and then barbecue sauce on top. It was pretty excellent.
And a Permanente Brothers. And
Permanente Brothers on the way home.
Nice.
Yeah, Jackson was like, "Hey, can we get ice cream?" I'm like, "No way, man."
sounds like a great trip, man.
Yeah, it was pretty excellent.
A lot of good
All right.
eating, a lot of exercising.
How about you, Mark? Anywhere else to talk about in the last couple of months?
Yeah, I did. I took some trips to some baseball stadiums near me. I think the furthest I drove was about an hour and 40 minutes to Indiana Tech. That's up in Fort Wayne. It's Division III stadiums. I started checking out Division III stadiums just to see what they're all about, and each one of them has something to offer. They're not perfect, but they're a lot better than some Division I stadiums that I've been to in the Northeast, especially in the Northeast.
Hey.
What I grew up with. And Indiana Tech was a stadium that's sort of the grandstand is pushed into a hill, and it kind of follows its own route through the campus, but nice little crowd there. I think what I liked best was the left field bleacher area, which actually was just one bleacher made out of cement that people sat on. And you saw some of the students just hanging out there drinking beer. Friendly guys and girls out there.
Because they were drinking beer.
They're drinking beer. They offered me one, and most of them were from the track team, and a lot of them were from Texas. So I guess they recruit from Texas for the track team. But what I liked about it was just about a block or two was this old candy factory that's now a brewery and restaurant. And they make some wonderful beer. It has this cool little vibe, plenty of pinball games to play. And it just seems like a fun place to hang out. So that was at Division III ballpark. I went to Taylor University, which is in the middle of nowhere. It's about a good hour, maybe 40, 50 minutes from me. Small little town. There's nothing there except this ice cream shop that is packed because there's nothing out there. And Taylor University has this really nice, pristine, clean baseball stadium, football stadiums next door, and a basketball arena, and then a softball field down the hill. I was just amazed because it was a beautiful day there. The place was packed. Probably sits about 300, 500 people, but it was near capacity. And it just was such a perfect day for baseball. Synthetic field, grass outfield, but you can't drink on campus. If they catch you with a beer, you'll get fined a couple $100. They're very serious. It's a dry Christian campus. So if you go to Taylor University, do not tailgate before a football or baseball game. But it's just one of those like unique experiences. Like the campus was alive and well, and you had like the baseball game, and then I went to the softball game, which had a lot of people out there. And they're very nice facilities. I was just really shocked. I'm like, my goodness, you don't have to go to a Division I stadium to have a good time. The other Division I ballpark I went to was Purdue. They were playing the Indiana Hoosiers. Packed house. I think that sits about a couple thousand people. Alexander Field. It's a nice stadium, but it's one of those stadiums that it's like, okay, where's the character? Where are the things that make this unique? Beautiful
Mark?
Huh? Where's Mark?
You got an issue with your camera there, Mark.
Oh, I blocked it. I
Yes.
was looking at my notes. Sorry about that. No, it's like, I don't know if you ever see pictures from my reviews of Alexander Field. There's nothing wrong with it, and it's just doesn't seem to have a lot of character to it. I like ballparks that kind of feel like a ballpark. This just feels like a very nice, shiny toy. But that just could be me. It was a great crowd. There was a lot of people there paying attention to the game. It's just after a while, I got kind of bored with the stadium. So I walked over to the softball field, which is a mini version of that baseball stadium. But one thing they have over there is they have an outfield grass berm that you can hang out and watch the game for free. So I thought that was a lot of fun. So if you happen to find yourself on the campus of Purdue or some other colleges, you might be able to double dip and check out a softball and baseball game. So those are some fun little places that I went to. And I have one more, but do we have time or do we come back to me?
Go for it.
Go for it. Okay, the last place I went to was a little bit different than what I was used to. The USL has launched a women's league, and the Indy 11 have a team in this league. And I went to their inaugural match over at the Grand Park Event Center in Westfield, which is 20 minutes, half hour north of Indianapolis, a little closer to where I live. And they seat about 1,500. Place was packed. They had the supporter group there. And it was an amazing time. I had a lot of fun. Now, I don't know if those are the typical crowds they're going to get all year, but it was a historic night. And it was the first time this team played in front of such a great crowd. It was just such a fun place to be. It was a cold, rainy night, so it was perfect that they were playing indoors. However, I just don't know how the crowds are going to be the rest of the year. If they're half of that, then they're doing well. One thing I liked about this venue was it has a pub, bar, full service restaurant that during halftime, everybody congregates in there, have a pint or two, talk to people, and then go back and watch the game. So that's very European to me. So that was a cool feature. Some great food too, and some pretty decent prices for the beer. But there's a lot of teams that they have launched this year in the USL Women's League. So those are you guys who are watching or listening to us right now. Feel free to check out these ladies play because it is really good soccer and they can use your support. And some of these organizations are kicking some butt and doing things the right way, like Indy 11 and the Minnesota team up there as well. So that was unexpected. I wasn't supposed to go to that game. I just was looking through my social media and I said, oh, they're playing in an hour. Let me get up there. How many times do you say, hey, I'll meet you at the game in an hour? Like, you just can never get to a game that quickly sometimes. So that was a lot of fun. So yeah, those were my events the last couple of months. I went to some Indiana baseball high school fields, but we'll talk about that some other time. Nothing spectacular. I could tell you one though, Cathedral High School, excellent field. That field was manicured to perfection. I don't know who's doing the grass there, but the guy's a saint.
So I'll finish up. I finished up my hockey season with a couple AHL visits and an ECHL visit. I won't talk about Bridgeport or Worcester or Providence because talked about them enough on the show. Interesting trivial note that will really be of importance to nobody except myself. This was the first year since I graduated college that I went to more basketball games over the winter than hockey games. And why? Because I work for two basketball teams. That's why. So you were talking a lot about baseball visits in small parks, Mark. Usually for me in this part of the country, up in New England where I live, the college baseball season is compressed into usually about a month worth of time. Usually you get a few weeks in April where you can go to baseball games. So usually I will hit for Stadium Journey 3 or 4 or maximum of 5 baseball games each spring. This year, the weather gods cooperated, and every weekend from March through May was good enough to go to a ballpark. So I ended up going to 8 different college baseball venues this spring. I don't think that will ever happen again. But this spring, 2022 was great. Got to update a lot of reviews and got to see a lot of places. 7 of them were places I had been before. But like you said, Mark, each one of them has character, has a little something going for it that makes it worth a visit. So really quickly, I'll recap where I went. Merrimack, brand new to Division One a couple years ago. They actually don't play on campus. They play at a local high school, which really sucks for a Division One team to play at a high school. The field, though, was pretty nice. Small bleachers, but it was a decent field. So unusual, I think, for a Division One team to be having to slim it like that. But when they stepped up all their programs a few years back, they, for whatever reason, they were able to upgrade their football stadium and the softball field and the soccer field. But for some reason, and I don't know why, I wasn't able to find out why, they couldn't do the same for the baseball park. So they had to go to a local high school, which invested a lot of money into their field.
Yeah,
and it's a nice place to play.
Oh, did they serve alcohol there?
They didn't serve anything. It was bare bones, man. Bare bones. All these.
Not even water.
You know what? All this, no concessions in any of these places that I went. I went to 8 of them. Not one had any concessions. BYOB or BYOS soda. Anyway, so I went to UMass. If you've been to UMass, large school, enrollment of what, 30,000 students maybe. First class facility. Well, no, their football stadium is a piece of crap, but they've got nice facilities and stuff. Their baseball field couldn't be any more plain. A couple of metal bleachers and a field. I talked to Brian Merzbach, who used to write for Stadium Journey. He's got his own site where he chronicles his visits. He says he went there in the 80s. My pictures looked exactly the same as when he went there in the 80s.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm looking at that right now.
Yeah.
That's not good. That's not good when somebody says that.
No. So yeah, it's stuck in time. It's stuck back in time. Umass Lowell. I wrote my review of Umass Lowell. They play at LeLacheur Field. Excellent park. Was always highly regarded when the Spinners played there. Spinners were a victim of contraction. In my review, I wrote that visiting LeLacheur Field was visiting your buddy's apartment after his girlfriend broke up with him, and he's not over it yet. What I mean by that is LeLacheur Field still has all the old signage from the Spinners still up. All the old displays from the Spinners are still up.
They're waiting for them to come back, right?
They're waiting for somebody to come back. But everything was boarded up. There were no concessions at a minor league level ballpark.
Ghost town.
No, nothing had been. It looks like nothing has been updated in the 2 or 3 years since the team left. So that was really, really sad. But still a very nice place to catch a game. Holy Cross, Hanover Insurance Field at Fitton Hanover Insurance Park at Fitton Field. It's a mouthful.
52 national champions.
Still gets used for summer collegiate baseball. The Worcester Bravehearts play there, even though the Worcester Red Sox have taken over the city of Worcester. The Woo Sox are a phenomenon in Worcester. It's crazy. But the Bravehearts are still there in the summer, and Holy Cross still plays there. So a nice little place to catch a game. It's 2,500 seats. It was used for independent baseball, so it's got some pro amenities, but nothing was open again. The bathrooms were open, which is always a plus.
I hope
always
so.
Good. Always good at one of these fields when they have an actual bathroom and not porta johns. So that was a plus in my book. Central Connecticut. Actually, like you did, Mark, I caught a baseball and a softball game here because they're right next to each other.
Those are the best.
I like those little softball stadiums. They're really cool looking. And I really want to go out there and take batting.
They're growing on me. Yeah.
I feel like, they look so small. And you feel like you could just crank balls over the outfield fence. You probably can't.
We hope.
Well, maybe in my 30s or 20s I could have. In my 50s, maybe not. But anyway, Central Connecticut, another one of those. It's got a nice little grandstand. The grandstand itself seats maybe 500. It's called the Ricky Batalico grandstand because he gave some money to the college to build the grandstand. But other than that, nothing really spectacular about Central Connecticut. Bryant College, Conady Park, one of the nicer ballparks in this area at Bryant University in Smithfield, Rhode Island. Another one where the baseball and softball are right next to each other. Um, really, one good thing about Bryant is they used to charge for baseball games. They were one of only two schools in all of New England that charged. There's none that charge now. So Bryant actually probably listened to my reviews. And but the grounds are really nice, manicured. It's got terrace berms on the foul lines where you can set up your lawn chairs, or you can sit in the berm in the outfield. Got a really nice little grandstand with individual seats. So it's a really nice place to catch a game. And it's on the site of the old New England Patriots training camp. So that's a plus for football fans. Let's see, where else did I go? Northeastern, Parsons Field in Brookline. It used to be where they played football when Northeastern had a football team. So it doubles now as their soccer field and baseball park. So it's got the old soccer/football grandstand going from right field out to center field. And they built a new baseball grandstand in the other corner. So it's a really cool setup. And they'll tell you all about when Babe Ruth used to go hang out there when he played for the Red Sox and lived in the area. And free parking in downtown Boston, which is always a shocker. And the other one I went to was Dartmouth College up in New Hampshire, Red Rolf Field. Probably my favorite ballpark, aside from the couple of new ones that are in New England. Of all the little small ones, got a great little grandstand. It's wedged in. All the Dartmouth athletic facilities are wedged into this one little place. So you got the football stadium, you got the basketball arena, you got the baseball jammed in right here, you got the indoor track right here, you got the hockey right over here. It's pretty cool. If everybody's playing, you can just wander around and have fun. And Hanover, New Hampshire is one of my favorite places to visit. So pretty cool there. They've got memorials all over this another place, a little tiny grandstand. They've got memorials to all kinds of people. And one of them is just like on a rock. It's pretty cool. It's funny. And the old timey sayings attributed to their old coaches just kind of made me smile. One said, "I just hope that we can win more than we lose." And, old timey things like that. So that was Dartmouth. So those were the 8 New England venues that I went to. If you're a baseball diehard, you may visit some of these. Otherwise, probably not anything that would be on any of your plans if you were making a baseball road trip.
Yeah.
But you never know. Some people are crazy out there like us. So
I can think of one person.
so that was my March, April, and May. So did we leave out anywhere else that we've been? I know we're getting a little long here.
Nah, I'm good. I didn't talk about Ball State, but nothing spectacular. It was a good crowd. But.
So, all right. So that's where we will leave off tonight. Thanks everyone for listening. Gregory Koch, we have gotten your messages about Maryland, University of Maryland. Gregory says that University of Maryland. What did he say? Let me pull it up here. Maryland Stadium isn't particularly nice either, but it's nicer than most of the other college venues in the area, which isn't saying much. So that's how I feel like when I go to a brand new one like Boston College or UConn. They're brand new, so compared to the other places in the area, they just really stand out. And Gregory also corrected me. UConn now charges for baseball, but you know what? They've got to pay for their brand new stadium somehow, I suppose.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot of like Louisville never charged. Now they charge. The last I was there, so it happens.
Yeah. So Dan, where can our listeners follow you?
Nowhere.
Would help if I had the volume on. Follow me at DanLaw83.
All right. Mark, how about
I'm a
you?
professional.
Where can our listeners follow you? And any plans coming up for the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I'm actually going to the Indy 500 on Sunday, so
cool.
That should be pretty exciting. A friend of mine won some tickets, so a couple of us are going, and don't know what I'm going to get myself into because apparently there's different places you can sit there, and you have to bring certain things, and some things are allowed, some things aren't. So, nothing better than doing some research about going someplace. But hey, there's a great website called Stadium Journey for that. So check it out on your next visit. And you can follow me on social media, Ballpark Hunter. That's Twitch. I'm making some really cool videos on there. YouTube, Instagram, and of course, Twitter. Like, subscribe, crush that subscription button, and check out my stuff. New material twice a week, and fun times. Fun times.
Share, subscribe.
Like, share, subscribe.
Dave, where can our listeners follow you and where are you headed?
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at ProFan9, and in the foreseeable future, it's going to be all 15U Kitchener Panthers baseball. So yeah, my son is playing, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna get really well. I guess I'm going to Toronto FC on Saturday. I'm going to the Mohawk Raceway on Friday. So that I do know. As far as June though, I got nothing. I got nothing other than not so little kid baseball.
All right. You can follow my Stadium Journeys on Twitter or Instagram at PuckmanRI. As far as where I'm going, you're going to be finding me at Campanelli Stadium a whole lot over the next couple months with my new gig as the PA announcer for the Rocks, the Brockton Rocks of the Futures Collegiate Baseball League. Very excited to be adding some baseball to my portfolio. As far as trips lined up, Memorial Day is a big deal here. The NCAA Lacrosse Championships are being held in Hartford at Rentschler Field. So I'm not working that day. So I may head over to Hartford and check out the championship game. Last year's championship game was a hell of a game. So we're hoping for another one. It looks like Maryland's going to just breeze through this year, though.
Princeton and Rutgers, are they?
Princeton, Rutgers,
Go Tigers.
Penn, and Maryland, I think. So it's like a 1, 5, 6, and somebody's really low seeded by the Final Four. Crazy tournament this year. There was no Syracuse, no Duke, no Johns Hopkins. That I don't think that's ever happened before.
Cornell. So Maryland plays Cornell.
Oh, Cornell. Yes, thank you.
No, Rutgers plays Cornell. Okay.
So,
well, I'll be rooting for Princeton. Sorry, Maryland, but
so that's probably what we'll be doing Monday. Aside from that, we don't have any plans, any trips planned in the foreseeable future. So, if you are looking where you can find all this information that we were referencing, you can find all of our 2,500 stadium reviews, news items, and other feature stories on our website, stadiumjourney.com. Find us on our social media channels at Stadium Journey. Looking for the podcast or other episodes? Looking for this episode? You want to listen to it on your car on the way to work? I do that sometimes. Pick up your phone, search HIAC Talk Radio Network, wherever you look for your favorite podcast, and we will be there. Video simulcast. You can't do this in your car now, but you can do it when you're home on your laptop. Video simulcast of this podcast can be found on Stadium Journey's YouTube page, and our classic back catalog can still be found at vocnation.com. And don't forget to join us for our live streams every other Tuesday night at 7 Eastern at danlaw.tv. And we will be back in 2 weeks on June the 6th. Don't know what we're going to be talking about yet. But
maybe Tim Capper will remember to be here.
Maybe. But it will be awesome. So thanks everyone for joining us, and thanks for your support as always. For Dan, Mark, and Dave, this is Paul wishing you all safe stadium journeys and close games. Hope to see you all again on the road real soon.
Yeah.